Welcome to Diaspora Discourse. I'm your host, Absolute. So, my channel is about communication amongst the diaspora, the black diaspora, the African diaspora, all across the world. And I'm really doing this channel to engage with my peoples. Nevertheless, I want to review videos and topics, hot topics, but topics needed to be discussed nevertheless about our conditions and how we can improve it and how we can maneuver, within this earth we live in. Anyway, today I have two videos that I want to show, and it's really answering a question to a response Mr. Calhoun gave about a young sister who asked the question, and I think it's a potent and relevant question, but because Mr. Calhoun doesn't understand, and he felt it was his place to speak on the topic and on the subject matter. Anyway, let's watch the video and we'll come back and discuss a bit about it. Alright, there we go.
Why do white people adopt black children?
I got a question. Why are there so many black children that need to be adopted? My second question is, why do you care who adopts them and what color they are as long as they love that child and raise them right? And lastly, I see color. But when I see a little baby, I don't go, oh, look at that little white baby or look at that little black baby. These are babies. They haven't been filled with ignorance yet. Let them babies be babies and grow up to be good people.
Okay, so there we saw Mr. Calhoun, give his response, like, why should a black woman care about black children, especially if they've been taken by Caucasian people and raised. There's so many reasons why there's something wrong with that. I would like to make things understood. We're not the same peoples. You need to get out of your mind that we're all the same. That's a fallacy, that's a lie. We're not all the same. That's why our genes are expressed via color and our phenotypes is expressed differently. Even amongst the so-called Caucasians, amongst the so-called Negroes, amongst the so-called Asians, there's differences. We're not all the same. So when Mr. Calhoun said, why does it matter? It matters because there's a history you seem to forget and neglect. And this is the issue I have. It's like all of a sudden everybody has amnesia. The past 500 years, hell, the past 1,000 years didn't matter. Oh, just forget about it and move on. Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's just a baby. Well, it was just babies when your ancestors, your group or demographic of people took our babies and fed them to alligators. They were just babies as well. But you forget that they were just babies when you literally ripped them out of the mother's stomach and stomp on their head. Documented. I'm not just making this up. Please go research it. Those were just babies as well. You forget the history of what's gone on between our peoples. I'm worried about it. I don't like it. I don't think it should be done. But the only reason why it is done is because of financial, or I should say economical, environmental, meaning it's not worn-torn place. So many different variations, so many different reasons. But for some reason, Mr. Calhoun thinks it's okay that our children are farmed and taken by other nations of people. And this is the main issue, is that a lot of people think like Mr. Calhoun. They think they are entitled to our bodies, entitled to our children, entitled to our resources, entitled to our artifacts, entitled to our land, entitled to us as a people, entitled to our entertainment. we're partly to blame with this because we allow people in our space. We try to be inclusive, and that doesn't make sense because inclusivity is not reciprocated. We're inclusive, they're exclusive, but they're allowed to come into our space and occupy it, put up their feet, eat off our table, even carve the turkey, and give us what our own food, dish it out to us, even restrict us from eating in our own house, on our own table. Now they've gone into our own bedrooms, they're taking our women. Now they're taking our children. Mr. Calhoun, I think you are totally misinformed and you have no understanding of the reality we, as so-called Africans, African Americans, black people, Negroes, are experiencing. You have no clue. You said you see color. That's just a recent thing. That's just recent. Before, we weren't people. We're even in your law books, we're still 3/5 of a human being. That hasn't been changed. I see color. I see color. Do you really? The entire world is in color. Anyway, there's a second video that will really explain why this black woman says what she says and why we as so-called Africans, African Americans, black people diaspora have to safeguard, gatekeep and respect our children, our wives and our husbands. We need to be more exclusive and less inclusive.
Yeah, I have this book about basically black families in slavery, and it has stories on top of stories on top of records about, you know, these families that were getting separated, and I had added a little video on my page. So, nevertheless, what I really think is interesting is the fact that throughout all this, you know, women getting their kids sold across the country to different Caribbean nations, their husbands becoming freedmen and then them still being enslaved, or vice versa, and them still being able to write letters and, you know, witness all this stuff in real time. They were still jumping a broom during slavery illegally. They were still getting married at higher rates than we are today. So, I want to know what's y'all thoughts. What do you think is going on, like, with the marriage in the black community? I'm really interested in knowing.
So, as you see there, this young queen, this young sister explained the reasons why so-called African Americans, so-called black people will have issues with other races taking our children. This is not just a new thing. They've been doing it for over 500 years. And not only that, I remember seeing not even a documentary, it was more of a lecture of how our children, put it this way, strip clubs, there's an origin for that. And if you, it was back in slavery when sailors will come from their long voyages and, you know, they go into these so-called, ale houses or whatever it's called back then. And yeah, there'll be young African children ready for their exploitation. Yeah. Mr. Calhoun, understand the atrocities that have been done to these people, to my people. So much so that we don't even recognize one another. They don't even call themselves African. We've been so destroyed. We don't even recognize that we are kin. And you have the audacity to stand there on international waters and say what you say, as if to say you some sort of authority or you have some sort of knowledge that surpasses ours. And you forget about epigenetics. This is not a joke. It's not a fashion phase. We're not commodities. We're not properties. We're not props. You cannot go around taking our children. No, you're wrong, Mr. Calhoun. Go and adopt your own children. How about that? Oh, I know the reason why. They're more expensive. See, that's the other side of it. So-called African children, black children, they're very cheap. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, I'm very offended. I feel disrespected, and I think you're out of order and out of pocket. And, you know, I don't really blame you, to tell the truth. I don't really blame you. The majority of the blame I put on us, because we are failing ourselves. And that big part of the blame goes to black men. And there's another video I want to do about this red pill and black women and so on and so forth. Oh, look, black men, we are to blame. We are the gatekeepers. We are the head. And if we're failing, black women are a reflection of us. If our black women are being ratchet, being this, being that, that's because we are not doing the leadership. We are not being the stern kings and warrior and gatekeepers that we should be. We're not protecting them the way we should be. Yes, we're going through a lot of shit. Yes, we're going through a lot of nonsense. Yes, I'm not disputing that. It is what it is. But yet, we're not organized. Yet, we're not taking accountability. Instead, we're here talking about, oh, passport bros, and oh, let's go to this place and get this, and let's go to that place and get that. So why wouldn't our women be so disrespectful towards us? Why wouldn't our women disrespect themselves? I mean, our children are killing one another wholesale. We cannot blame anybody else. I mean. We really can't. We have to hold the accountability. We have to hold that blame. It's on us. We should stop looking to other people. Oh, what about the government and all? Forget all that nonsense. That doesn't make no sense. The government, schmovement, who cares? They change. They're still people. The issue is us. How do we conduct ourselves? How do we navigate the situations that we're in as a race of people? Are we holistic? Are we a whole? Or are we disintegrated, separate, having our own this and that? I mean, we are all sorts. We're Christians, Muslim, gay, trans, I'm Crip, blood, all these different weird things that make no sense. But what we're not is a nation. What we're not is a strong group of people. What we're not is not united. They will dog people like Dr. Umar Johnson and, oh, let's put him down. Okay. Then we'll disrespect to Tariq Nasheed and we'll put him down. Okay. Look, man, at the end of the day, we really need to take accountability and take stock of what's going on. We can be upset at Mr. Calhoun, yes, we can. But ultimately, is he really to blame? Is he? Yes, I feel away with what he said. But more than anything, I feel away with how we conduct ourselves. Look, at the end of the day, we need to do better. It's just that plain and simple. We really do. I'm not going to make this video too long, but it's a new channel. I would really appreciate it, especially if you're of the family, of the bloodline. If you'd like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, leave a comment. Let me know how you feel in response to this. I think dialogue is important, especially amongst ourselves. I'll be doing videos on a regular basis, so please tap in. Let's reconnect and let's build. So this has been the Diaspora Discourse. I have been Absolute, and I love you all. Peace and shalom.